Ladies and gentlemen, this is Again into the video. We're going to be taking a look at Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception on the PlayStation 4 and pitting it against the original 2011 PlayStation 3 release and asking how well has this remaster translated to the next generation. Is it worthy of your purchase, or is it better just to stick with the original PlayStation 3 version? And the answer is rather simple. Uncharted 3 is probably one of the most impressive remasters that I have personally witnessed. We will eventually be taking a look at Uncharted 2 as well as Uncharted 1 because they are older, therefore they do benefit even further for the next generation makeover. But sticking with Drake's Deception for the meanwhile, it must be said that there are a myriad of different improvements across the board. Now the first one, of course, is that the game is running at 1080p, which is a rather substantial boost over the 720p that the PlayStation 3 managed. It is a testament, however, to Naughty Dog's mastery of the PlayStation 3 that the title did manage to cling to 30 FPS, and in fact we didn't even bother to publish a frame rate test for this, unlike normal, simply because Uncharted 3 for both the PlayStation 3 and particularly the PlayStation 4 managed to almost stay completely and utterly locked to their native frame rates. So in the case of the PlayStation 4 version, that would be 60 frames per second, which is damn impressive considering what the game is managing to pull off. It's not just the fact that the game has been remastered in 1080p, no. There are other improvements. For example, now we have a rather nice post-process anti-aliasing, but that's not to say that the PlayStation 3 version didn't have AA, but the PS4 version is considerably nicer. It smooths out the edges much nicer, and combined with an anisotropic filtering adds to a smoother yet richer visual experience. Compounding this is texture improvements. Now, it's without a doubt you're going to notice texture improvements, particularly in Uncharted 1 and Uncharted 2 further than Uncharted 3, because the textures in Uncharted 3 were already fairly decent, however some of them have definitely been redone. This combined with the improvements of anisotropic filtering lead to rather nice looking textures. I wouldn't go as far as to say that the game looks completely and utterly next generation with its textures, however compared to the PlayStation 3 original, it's fairly obvious that a lot of work has been done, and therefore kudos to Bluepoint in that respect. Moving on to, let's say, shadows, shall we? Now, the shadows on the original title seem to be improved in resolution. The shadows also aren't quite so blocky, aren't quite so, I would go as far as to say, ugly in some areas. This is mostly, at least in my opinion, down to ambient occlusion, and it does lead in rather nicely to lighting as well. Now, volumetric lighting is definitely I feel the best way of describing the lighting now is it's just considerably more accurate than the PlayStation 3 version, and the shadows and the lighting combined that no longer feel quite so janky and out of place, which you could definitely notice in some scenes on the PlayStation 3, particularly when you were dealing with more acute angles. This was also translates rather nicely to the fire scenes as well. So definitely improvements in the visual aspects of the game. In regards to whether you should buy it, in my opinion, the answer is quite simple. Unless you really disliked Uncharted 3 or the Uncharted series for whatever reason, it makes complete and utter sense to pick up the remaster. Chances are, the biggest impact that you're going to notice is definitely the increase in resolution, but the frame rate improvements. It's not that, once again, that the PlayStation 3 wasn't managing to maintain its lock of 30 FPS. It's just that with the 60 FPS of the remaster, the game just feels so much nicer. I first noticed this when I was playing around with the demo that was available on the store, but then when I actually played the retail release, played for a while on the PlayStation 4, I recorded maybe about 4 hours, then I switched to the PlayStation 3. It was pretty noticeable, and I've got to say, aiming, fighting, even smaller details like, for example, doing platform sections, it just felt a lot smoother, a lot more natural, and considerably less clumsy. I believe the key word is responsive. Geometry levels on the game appear to be pretty even. I haven't noticed any major differences in geometry, if at all. This is very unlike the original Uncharted, which of course we will be covering on the channel, but with the original Uncharted I can tell you that there are definitely cases where extra geometry on certain objects has been added, which helps to add extra details. And even facial features on, say, Uncharted 1 or Uncharted 2 have been improved somewhat to become a little bit more realistic, and Drake himself, for example, looks more like he does now on the PlayStation. I'm sorry, the later PlayStation 3 releases. So, with all of that said, I fully recommend you go ahead and pick up this collection. It's really good value for money for the amount of gameplay that you get. But for now, I'm going to get going, so hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Do remember to like, favourite, subscribe and all of that jazz if you would like more videos just like this over the next couple of days. Of course, we have a hell of a lot of releases coming up with the Christmas period and even early into next year. But for now, I will bid thee farewell, so bye for now.